Good morning. I'm Tom with Reynolds-Jonkhoff Funeral Home. Thank you all in each of the rooms for being here today to honor Jim and to support the entire Campbell family. We appreciate it. If I could ask you to reach in and maybe turn off or silence any phones, any pagers, so that we can hear fully Reverend Findlay's message today. All right? Thank you so much, Reverend.
On behalf of Karen, Jimmy, Matt, Marcy, and Dawn, and Holly and Heather, good morning, and thank you very much for being here to honor Jim and commemorate his life, to celebrate his lively spirit and his kindnesses, to recall with gratitude the joy he brought to our lives, and of course, to share in the grief of his passing. Jim's untimely departure reminds us that life is fragile, as delicate as breath, that tomorrow is not guaranteed, and that we should relish every satisfaction that comes our way. This is a day when raw emotions play bumper cars with our hearts and minds. Regardless of any personal turmoil, know that, quite characteristically, Jim is smiling broadly at all of it, while a heavenly chorus sings, "Hail to the victors." That's the kind of man he was, comedic, with stories galore and smiles that lit up the room, caring for his family, for his friends, and the community. Courageous, practically fearless, and oh so direct, making hard decisions even to the very end. Jim Campbell, friends, was the genuine article. What you saw is what you got. Speaking of what you saw, Jim's daughter Marcy composed a video to remind us how colorful and dynamic a personality Jim had. Appropriately, the background music is "My Old Man" by the Zac Brown Band.
He was a giant when I was just a kid. I was always trying to do everything he did. I can still remember every lesson he taught me. Growing up, learning how to be like my old man. He was a lion. We were a father's pride, but I was defiant when he made me walk the line. He knew how to lift me up and when to let me fall. Looking back, he always had a plan. My old man. My old man, feel the callus on his hands and dusty overalls. My old man, now I finally understand. I have a lot to learn from my old man. I'm a giant. Got a son of my own. He's always trying to go everywhere I go. Do the best I can to raise him up the right way, hoping that he someday wants to be like his old man.
Well done. James Harvey Campbell was a man who loved people, especially his beloved wife, Karen, who stood by him in the tumultuous trail that eventually robbed him of life. It's truly ironic that the muscle most associated with Jim, and for which he was justly acclaimed, both failed and felled him in the end. His exit came far too early in the game. Jim Campbell had many fine qualities. He was honest, he was courageous, he was funny. And most of all, he cared deeply in all that he did. Family was always first. He was a husband, father, and grandfather without borders. No hesitation, no reluctance, no limits. When it came to family, Jim Campbell, like Holzhauer of Las Vegas, was all in. It was the way he played every day. It's the hallmark of his 79 earthly years. One of the cruelest realities of life is the loss of our friends. They have been our support and our buffer amid all the madness that life throws our way. And they loved us in spite of our shortcomings. Abe Lincoln's comment rings true. The better part of one's life consists of his friendships. We are so fortunate that Jim was a friend to so many in this room, and an important source of joy to many more. We who were his neighbors saw it daily. The generosity, the kindness, the mischievous glee. Jim, an engaging citizen warrior, attracted many. Friends, like Scott and Christy Reynolds, who were always there to do whatever needed doing. Like Jim's car show buddy, DHL's Rodney Glassner. Like Mike Murad, the quintessential neighbor and help. Like Patty Findlay, Jim's co-conspirator in the backyard garden initiative that frankly had something of an unusual odor. Like Mike Torrance, a pal at Century Sun Metal Treating. Like helpful neighbors Al and Randy Kleineisen. Like Jerry McDermott, who sipped a bit of bourbon with Jim from time to time. Like Nolan's Tobacco and Cigar, naming a bar stool in Jim's honor. And then there was the Monsignor. That's what Jim called me, a title I neither sought nor wanted. The list could go on and on, but I believe the point has been proved. Jim Campbell was a great friend. He loved being outside and took particular pride in their home's exterior. and the rugged beauty of the landscaping. Jim had a particular affinity for stones everywhere. He epitomized his belief in hard work and his commitment to make Alden a better place to be by working tirelessly for the Alden Volunteers. His devotion to ensuring that the plants and hanging baskets were watered thoroughly was unmatched, as was his management of the Alden Volunteers watering team. Jim loved football. Go Blue. And surprisingly, golf too, even though he admitted not to be very good at it. But here's the reality. He was outside, he had a cigar, and the 19th hole might include a rum and coke. Life was very good. It was the camaraderie, the friendship, the score, unimportant. Grief is a real part of the reality of celebrating a life well lived. Grief lingers and changes us, but it's a passage, not a place to stay. It is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. Grief, my friends, is the price of love. And with love, there is light to guide us. With love, there is light to comfort us. With light, it is there to heal us. Jim not only reflected such light, in many cases, he was the light. I want to close this eulogy by sharing Marcy's brilliant Facebook post from July 5th, the day after Jim passed into a new dimension. Quote, "You have always been there for me. No matter what bad choices I might have made, you lovingly repaired my broken spirit, helped me plot a new course, and set me free to fly on my own once again. There is no greater love than that. You will be deeply missed by so many, Daddy. I know you are having your rum and coke in heaven with a big smile on your face. Rest easy until we meet again." I teared up then, I tear up now. It was brilliant. I'm sure in your minds and hearts, many of you have something you'd like to say. A story, an observation, a moment of pure joy with Jim. If you would like to share it, please feel free to come, use the microphone so that all can hear what you'd like to contribute. Please.
All right, I'm the car buddy, Rodney Glassner, and I did not do a speech, but I did write down some notes. So Jim and I, we met when I was at DHL. I was station manager there and has a hard time with the cleaning company. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia on vacation with my family. And Amanda called me up and said they were having problems with the cleaning girl. Well, I called the company and said, either get somebody in there on Monday when I'm back, or else you're done. He said, well, knew I need to remind you that we have a contract. I said, I probably said it worse, but I said, I don't really care about your contract. So nobody showed up on Monday. Jim showed up on Tuesday. Didn't say much to me. I had an Audi at that time sitting out front. And the second day he came in, he walked into my office. He goes, you're a car guy, aren't you? Yeah. You know, he was driving a Ford F-150 then, I believe. And he goes, I have an Audi too. So we immediately connected there with cars. Lots of car shows, Bay Harbor. Jimmy's been up there. I think you've been up there too, Matt. Up there, and just fabulous cars from way back first years of cars all the way till present years, always a nice classic and always a nice sports car up there. As well as the small Alden car show, and I think we've been to the Blair one too a few times. So great car shows, great memories there. I will never forget it. And I can't ask for a better car buddy, that's for sure. We really connected there. I'll never forget when we pulled away when you were on Williamsburg Road. I rented a car. I was living in Iowa. Rented a car, and Jim was not the biggest GM fan, but I rented a Camaro convertible. And I can remember, of course, I was driving. Jim didn't have anything to do with this, so we pulled out, and I just floored it. And then we got back, and Karen goes, "What was that? When you guys took off early?" Of course, Jim and I, like being teenagers, we don't know what you're talking about. And then, of course, one of the best memories I can think of is going to Autobahn Country Club in Joliet, Illinois. We raced the Audi R8s on the track there, and it was just a terrific time. In fact, this was probably 15 years ago, I'm thinking, and Jim said that. He goes, "That's the first time he ever been car sick in a car." But it was, just in the curves and everything, it was just a blast. He had to get out the last, because we go 15 minutes and 15 minutes back and forth. He had to get out the last laps because he was getting sick. So never forget that. We had a great time. So always remember Jim for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Marcy, please.
All right. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I am Marcy Campbell, Jim's favorite daughter. I want to start off by thanking you all for coming out today to celebrate my father's beautiful life. Fathers are someone to look up to, someone to follow, someone to admire, someone to be proud of, someone to brag about, someone to hold, and someone to cry with, someone to learn from, and someone to respect, someone to listen to, and someone to talk to, someone to try and impress, sometimes rebel against, and someone, most of all, with whom to share everything this wonderful life has to offer. I'm so incredibly grateful and happy that I can stand here today and tell you that I've had all of this and much, much more with my father, Jim. I have been blessed to call him my dad. To say I loved my dad would be an understatement, and to say I'm going to miss him would be even a greater understatement. My dad's most notable feature was his height. He was over 6 feet tall and strong as an ox. Although his towering presence would be intimidating, he was one of the most kindest people I knew. He was always there for me, no matter what bad choices I made. He always lovingly repaired my broken spirit, helped me plot a new course, and set me free to fly on my own again. There is no greater love than that. One thing my dad wasn't born with was patience. Every time he had his patience tested, it always came back negative. I remember as a child one time, we were in a store and I begged my dad to get this art set. After several minutes of convincing, promising all the things I would do, keep my room clean, don't fight with my brothers, you name it, he gave in. I felt like I had just won the lottery. We got up to the counter to pay and my dad writes a check. Now remember, this is back when people were honest and identity theft wasn't a hot topic. The cashier asked him for his driver's license. My dad says, "Why do you need that? My driver's license is already on the check." Remember when I said my dad did not have any patience? I think you know the rest of the story. I never asked for another toy again. When I was walking into the hospital, I ran into my dad's previous coworker prior to retiring. He said, "I always loved your dad. He was such a ball buster." I chuckled, of course, but agreed without hesitation. As I sat at my dad's bedside, that really resonated with me. He was always so tough, so driven, looking for the next best idea. He wanted it all, and if you were standing in his way, he surely would let you know. If you weren't pulling your weight, he wasn't afraid to call you out either. I have to admit, I'm very much like my father. One of the most important lessons I learned from my dad was to never give up. To remain persistent and determined is in fact the key to looming success in the future. I would call my dad often to get advice on a lot of things. I remember many times hanging up the phone in tears. He would always tell me what I needed to do or should do, but never in a gentle way. I always thought to myself, why did I call him? Looking back and being a mother myself, it was simply because he loved me and wanted the best for me. When I was hurting, he was hurting too. When I was happy, he was always happy for me. He has always been my #1 fan. I sure am going to miss our phone conversations. If you knew my dad, you knew how much he loved cars. I am certain he is racing around in heaven, living all his car fantasies out. Some of my fondest memories of my dad was attending car shows. I owe it all to my dad for knowing every make and model of car out there. Some people think it's weird, I just think it's normal. One thing I always enjoyed doing with my dad as a child was washing cars on the weekends. I of course volunteered to run the hose, while he always did the hard scrubbing. I did clean the inside though, so I wasn't too much of a slacker. To this day, I'm very anal about having a clean car. Some people think I'm crazy, especially Mitchell, but it's one of my favorite pastimes. It takes me back to my childhood hanging out with Dad. I don't know if we have any Michigan fans in here, but I can tell you my dad was the biggest fan. So many memories of watching football games together that I will cherish forever. Go Blue. I don't know how long it will take me to grieve this tremendous loss. My father was one of the most important people in my life, and I feel heartbroken to no longer have him here with us. Dad, your love, your understanding, your wisdom, and your amazing sense of humor will live on inside us forever. You have given us gifts that are more precious than anything in this world. Goodbye, Dad. You will always live on in my heart.
Heartfelt and exceptional. Anyone else? Thank you again for joining us to celebrate Jim's life. He lived with such gusto and joy and left an indelible imprint on the sands of our lives. Make no mistake, however, Jim was also a man of faith. Not of words, nor dogma, not of theology, nor any congregation. Jim's beliefs took shape in actions, in deeds, the single most telling characteristic of real faith. He lived the right way. Jim was a blessing for us all. We pray he rests in peace. He surely earned it. Finally, against a musical backdrop of the bagpipe music that he so loved, whose sounds Jim so treasured, please join me in saying the Our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you all again for being here today, and I have to say, after listening, This is a ball buster of a funeral, too. This is fantastic. So thank you very much. Please take all the time you need to talk to the family as you depart the funeral home. We've got all the time in the world. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I wanted you for life, you and me in the wind. I never thought there'd come a time that our story would end. It's hard to understand, but I guess I'll have to try. It's not easy to say goodbye. For all the joy we shared, all that time we had to spend. If I had one wish, I'd want forever back again. To look into your eyes and hold you when you cry. It's not easy to say goodbye. I remember all those great times we had. So many memories, some good, some bad. Yes, and through it all, those memories will last forever. There's peace in where you are. Maybe all I need to know. And if I listen to my heart, I'll hear your laughter once more. And so I have to say, I'm just glad you came my way. It's not easy to say goodbye.